Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, 2025 Sagittarius, a new era is starting for you. All the outer planets, Saturn, Jupiter, but especially Uranus and Neptune and Pluto in 2025 are moving to new signs. And they'll dip their feet for a little bit there, like Uranus in your seventh house, out from the sixth, Neptune into your fifth house, Saturn into your fifth house. But this is where the really big changes in life happen. And actually, for the last 14 years, Neptune has been squaring Sagittarius. So 14 years. And Neptune doing that, they might have been very strong and confusing feelings when it comes to who you are, where you're headed, what you want, what relationships you prefer, because Neptune always is about making us doubt reality in a sense. And Neptune slows down the energy, makes it uncertain. Things are kind of fluid, but you cannot pinpoint them. And for the last 2 years, almost, Saturn joined Neptune with squaring your sign. So it might have been a bit harder, slower. Things are moving slower with Saturn there, but hopefully Saturn is giving you more clarity after the Neptune. Let's say there's confusion that it can create in the fourth house when it squares you. So the energy for a while maybe might have been a bit slowed down somehow for you, more nebulous, uncertain, wondering where should I go, what's the purpose, what's the meaning. But from this year, both of these planets, for big part, Saturn for 3 months and Neptune for half of the year, move out of your fourth house and will start to trine you. So from now on, Saturn and Neptune will help you. So instead of being slowed down and uncertain or confused, the opposite. They'll go into your fifth house of creativity, creating things, inspiration that flows, being able to manifest materially Saturn with more ease. So, and the only energy that will, and Uranus shifting into your seventh house will speed up the vibration for Sagittarius, because the only planet that will directly aspect you now, I mean, Neptune or Saturn will trine you, but the more intense aspect, like a conjunction, opposition, or square, it's going to be Uranus. So Uranus is really going to raise the vibration. You're entering a new phase, a new chapter for 8 years of your life, where your relationships will totally change. If there was stagnation there, suddenly Uranus breaks it apart. But we'll get to it. Or if it's been one way always, now you're going to really break the mold. Like my husband met me when Uranus was transiting his seventh house from ascendant, exactly on the cusp. And that really changed. So your life will change. Others really interesting in different people, not necessarily just marriage partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, but other like friends. So environment is what's going to shake up your reality and introduce new ways of doing things and exciting ways, something that will change you to the core. And external circumstances will be the reason for this. But just wanted to tell you how all planets are moving, the outer one, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, to in alignment in air and fire signs. And your fire sign and air and fire signs really jive well together. It's really speeding up the reality. Things will start moving much faster than we're used. And Sagittarius, whether it's your sun, moon, or rising, you're at a very beneficial spot, because Sagittarius is a fast sign that loves action, that loves changes, that captures the opportunities, especially during changing times. I think you're going to thrive gradually from 2025, 26, 27, because Pluto will be supporting you with really deep, powerful transformational thinking and skills and support group, which is kind of relatives, so friends, the third house. Or you can rely on your intelligence, your skills to really manifest your dreams. Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune from the fifth house will help you manifest your dreams. Like fifth house is, what is the kingdom you want to create? What life do you want to create? And you'll be asked with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction to manifest materially, because it will happen in your fifth house, to manifest materially something into the tangible, to create something. For some of you might be a child, for some of you might be a business, some of you might be an original idea, a book, or something that's never existed before, because fifth house is create something that divinely inspired, original, your own idea. And Neptune brings this inspiration, and Saturn manifests it. And Saturn and Neptune are at the peak of Uranus and Pluto, this figure here, for the next till 2030. So it's not 2025 only. This matters, this prediction for you till 2030, because Uranus would hold the trine and sextiles to all the other planets. They would hold this beautiful configuration, which is called bisextile, and that's divine intelligence aligning with divine love and divine willpower. Divine wisdom, divine love, divine willpower are working harmoniously for everyone in the world. And we're looking at the peak where the energies are concentrated. And for you, this is the fifth house, which is telling us that over the next 4 or 5 years, this decade, basically, you'd create something unique, some creation, something original, and there will be a new spark. Fifth house is not just to create something, but a new spark of inspiration, and might be connected. And for some of you, it might be even through a romantic partner that all of this comes. And you have a lot of support from others. Uranus, Pluto in social houses for you. And they can be the catalysis, the catalyst for those changes. Uranus in the seventh house, another person, or because of the people in your life that trigger, or new people that enter your life that will trigger huge transformation. And somehow, as I said, you have this cutting, leading edge of original thought and creation that you can manifest and fulfill some creative goal or project in some sort. Okay, but yeah, there is definitely fifth house rules look to create your own business, and it can be held by others, like-minded people, or others in your environment. Even it can be relatives or friends or partner, marriage partner, or business partners that will help you, some of you, to fulfill this. Or to a child, to take care of a child as well. It takes a village, and you're gonna have the village if it's that. But yeah, something where you're awakened to a new way of self-expressing yourself. This is the fifth house where the peak is, and of this configuration. And you're gonna be required to take some center stage role over the next, especially over the next 4 or 5 years. But the cycle of Neptune, Saturn, which starts in 25 and 26. 2025 and 26, they're joining in your fifth house. It's gonna last for 35 years. So something you do in the next 2 years, something original, something you create, can be in your life for a long time. You might be asked to take some leading leadership position areas in regards to center stage roles. For some of you, might be connected to something more artistic and creative. That will be the focus and center for you. I don't know, photography, painting, writing books, or working with children, or just anything more creative that you'd be called to fulfill. Center stage of fifth house is politics as well. Who knows? Some of the great politics of the future, the next 30 years, can really have strong Sagittarius, rising sun, moon. But you'd create something that brings meaning for you, that feels like the right fifth house, where the Saturn Neptune conjunction is happening, which is the pivot of 2025, and 2026, is the house of what is your unique self-expression and your natural talents, and that it's a Dharma house, to grow more into who you're meant to be, with more confidence, with more, everyone is born with a unique talent, and many times we don't know what it is. Well, now Saturn and Neptune, over the next couple of years in particular, when they seed together a new cycle in your fifth house, will help you find what is this unique talent, natural talent, and start something that might be there in your life for decades ahead, as we say. And maybe for some of you, it will be a big focus, that something with your romantic life, the fifth house, that starts working and clicking together, because that's, again, the peak of this beautiful configuration. But now let's start more month by month. I'm running ahead. I just wanted to show you how the energy starts to speed up. Everything moves into male and female, to male signs. And these are the fastest signs: Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, and of course, Sagittarius is the fastest sign. So we'll have speed. You kind of, and you'd like it as a Sagittarius. You start feeling more awake, more clear about your mission, about your goals, about who you are. This fifth house conjunction here. And you'll find it over the next 2-3 years, those questions, you'll get answers on them. And you have a lot of support from others in your environment, in your everyday environment, third house, and others will trigger you, also other people, partners, new people that enter in your life, for those new, to discover those new self-expressions and support them for you as well, and to make a change. But starting from January, let's not run ahead too much of ourselves. First, and one of the first things that happens in January is that the North Node changes its sign. So does the South Node. They're always opposite each other. They're a node of fated events. They cause the eclipses, the nodes of the moon. Wherever they go into a sign, the North Node makes us more passionate and focus on manifesting that house. The South Node on letting go of that house that it transits. And they're moving into your fourth house. The North Node is moving there, where Saturn and Neptune are. They've been for a while. We talked a little bit there. So maybe for some of you, it's matters regarding this fourth house, like family, home, place of living, your roots, your foundation and stability in life, feeling secure might have been a bit of a tough topic for the last, well, sometimes Sagittarius, even for the last 14 years, might have felt rootless, or at least a decade, or lived in foreign places, Neptune in the fourth house, or maybe kind of fluid, where do I belong? But Saturn has come in the last year and a half to create more clarity there. But also Saturn, since a year and a half in your fourth house, might have meant that you have to deal with parents, or matters of real estate, or matters of, to do something important there, to put order, to organize, or take care of ailing parents, or duties of you, parenting duties as well, or taking care of property, real estate matters. But Saturn might have also delayed such things, making them more burdensome than normal. And also Saturn in the fourth house is not the easiest emotionally. The fourth house is the house of feelings. And Saturn there might have felt you feel a bit more down emotionally dig down into your past with psychologists, or with introspectively on your own, looking back at your childhood, that you're trying to restructure the family patterns that come to you, how you feel, how you are taught to feel, how you are programmed by your family, which is the fourth house. Saturn is trying to put order there, and even to put more foundation and stability in you, but emotionally is not the easiest. Well, now North Node will join this combination of Saturn and Neptune in your fourth house. And it means that you become definitely, things will start moving faster there if there's some delays. And there might be some very important developments in the first 4 months, January, February, March, especially when they're in April, when you see how very activated this fourth house is for you. There'll be a stellium here with Venus, Mercury joining, the moon, the sun, South Node, Neptune towards March and April, February, and then April again. It's very happening. So the first 4 months, 5 even, watch this fourth house. It's very important. Some important decisions about where you live, about some big changes with such matters. Something to do with real estate, with property. And the North Node will make you not just the first 4 months, but because it's very mixed energy the first 4 months, but North Node stays there till middle of 2026 for a year and a half. So that period for a year and a half can be very important, where you, for example, we bought a house when I had North Node in the fourth house for my ascendant, my first real own house. And during those year and a half, I started decorating it. We did it. It was brand new house. Chose every light, every switch. So I'm never usually passionate about home and such stuff, you know. But when Rahu was in my fifth house, I became like some home goddess, doing DIY, gardening, whatever, and very passionate, looking all the time at properties, real estate. So the North Node can make you manifest materially, home, family, settling down. But because it's first with Saturn and Neptune there, it might be some very important developments that you do. Yeah, it can indicate new place of living sometime in the next year and a half, or even foreign residence, Rahu connected to, something foreign. But also it can mean that some of you settle during that time, find your roots, get interested, very interested I got interested a lot in family constellations and family karma, and I was researching such things. And I moved back to live close to my parents, so you get in touch more with parents or your root lands and as well. I became very passionate about the history and traditions of my country. This is all fourth house. So yeah, you can get passionate about such things. Or for me, I was like cooking at home a lot and inviting guests, which I don't normally do. And when South Node is in the 10th house for a year and a half, it takes up a bit of your attention from worldly achievements, from the rat race, as they call it, from duties and responsibilities, because you're coming inwards into this more internal spheres, basically, that the priority as of a big part, especially in 2025 still, because Saturn stays 9 months in your fourth house, the North Node the whole year, and Neptune stays 6 months in your fourth house. So truly some of the important events are here in your fourth house, because they join together. First North Node joins Neptune in February the 7th, then Saturn joins North Node, and Saturn is with Neptune pretty much in April, they join. So these are the first 4 months, something important there: home, family, roots, parenting, emotional breakthroughs, emotional realizations, healing psychologically, the inner child, the childhood, even cutting roots sometimes. And Saturn can be quite ruthless with the North Node. North Node magnifies it with unhealthy influences from the past. Why not? Saturn is the cleaner. North Node makes you very passionate to transform the family heritage, the family karma, let's say. But yeah, it can mean relocations, family, so on. Or the South Node can make you not be so, maybe give up some worldly responsibilities and duties because of more personal reasons. For me, I remember I didn't focus so much on work. I was still doing, but I gave up some duties and responsibilities that because I wanted to concentrate more on family, and I wanted to feel more connected, more on my personal life. And also with the eclipse in the 10th house, that happened as well. I lost my website exactly with the South Node there, my YouTube with 300,000 people, exactly on an eclipse with the South Node. So there might be the need to give up something, to sacrifice something, to let go of some aspect of your career, of your reputation, of your social status. Eclipses happening on the axis of either the 1st or 7th or 10th and 4th, a big major thing. And you have the next year and a half eclipses happening there, because something changes big with your status, maybe career, with your personal life, family, home, the foundations of life, and the roots of the tree, as they say, and the branches of the tree, the fruits that you give up. But also you give up some aspect of your career or responsibilities or duties to embrace another one. And that is more, the eclipses, they want to align us more to the truth path of our life. So eclipse in the 10th house with the South Node being there, might be give up some aspect of your career. Or like I was so attached to this YouTube, and I said, when I lost it, they said, we're not going to restore it. And I said, this 14 years of work. And they said, we don't care. And I said, okay, I'll start another YouTube. And I took everything that I had and basically found an alternative, put it on other social media. So, it makes you stop being like horse with blinkers, just with just one direction, and makes you, the South Node can make you like give up something, but only to not to be so attached to things there. But if your career is connected to something South Node, and actually they restored my website after that, but I had already started not website but YouTube. I started another YouTube and another accounts and my own streaming service that I've been working on since then. So that was great again. Even if you have to sacrifice something or give up something, no, that is to allow you to show you that you shouldn't be so attached in one way doing things with your career and your social image or your public reputation, and that there is other ways to do it, and to let go and let God. So I said, God, I was struggling. I was like, oh, I have to change it. I have to fix it. And I'm like, South Node is in my 10th house. It's God, let me see why you want this from me. Let go and let God. When I let go and let God and started doing those other stuff, the solution came, because South Node is not an influence that denies you something, but it wants you to let go. It wants you to introspectively realize how you can do something to a more higher vibration as well, because the South Node is the most spiritual influence. And maybe to change direction some way. And when you let go, it dissolves the problem for you there. Like for me, immediately they restored my account. When I said I don't need it anymore, they restored it. So I got the. I'm telling you the story to see how sometimes you work to the South Node issues. It doesn't mean you lose your career necessarily or whatever. You lose some attachment or aspect to it. And I shifted gears and I said, I'm gonna give more things for free as well. Because South Node, you need to, if you don't work selfishly, if you work for the higher good, which is South Node energy, for the good of everyone, like already with some sacrifice, maybe giving more out free, whatever, then more selflessly. South Node doesn't have an ego. It's the tail of the dragon. It's without a head. So more selflessly, and if you're already in a career that is more selfless, and careers of South Node, astrology is a South Node career. If you are in anything where you give for others in some way, it can be very important developments of your career. But again, there is some shift and change there. And you might prefer to give a bit more, maybe to let go of some extra hours at work or whatever, or some higher positions or duties and responsibilities so you can spend more time at home. Or there's some themes that are about that rather than worldly achievements more internally, unless you're doing something when it's worldly achievements that is Ketu in nature, South Node in nature, which is, spiritual business career of some sort. All right, but there is this Rahu here, focus, like I got obsessed home, whatever. Now, the next big event in January is that, but of course, yeah, we said this North Node here is very important. You have to watch out for any water damage in February because the North Node and Neptune comes up, or the foundations, but you can do restructuring, engineering with Saturn there. You can do corrections, and such matters might be important. Selling, buying real estate, something like that is focused. But let's go to Mars. Mars will be retrograde in your from the beginning of the year in your 8th house. Doesn't directly aspect you, but it's just pretty much the whole of January, February, and March, and until mid-April, the first 3.5 months. Mars is in your 8th house. Half of the time is retrograde, half of the time is direct. So some of you might be dealing the beginning of the year, the first couple of months in particular, with matters concerning and have to put and mobilize their energy in matters concerning mortgages, which might be good if you're trying to do something with real estate and, here the 4th house. Having to solve a mortgage, or having to do with loans and debts of some sort, or taxes, insurances, and inheritances. Yeah, there can be some struggle or the need to put some extra energy and effort. that you have to put extra, willpower there. And yeah, the theme that you might be dealing with some kind of inheritance sometimes means the topic of death is present. It is, yeah, eighth house. It's not your death, but it might be, there's something, but I'm not saying every Sagittarius will get inheritance, so don't worry. I had Mars retrograde in my eighth house a few years ago, and nothing of that sort. No one died, but my mutual finances with my partner were threatened. We went through a crisis because suddenly he had to pay 20,000 pounds for a phone bill that someone stole his phone and did that. And for 2-3 months, he was fighting with the company and saying, I'm not going to pay that. It was a scam. And they said, no, you have to pay it. So we had to rebudget. So we had to save this money for us. And the stress, the mutual finances. And at the end, he didn't have to pay them. And we had sourced out, and we had some extra expenses as a couple, like the boiler going off for 5,000 pounds and whatever. So just giving you an example, yeah, there might be some stressful situations around money, mutual finances, and so on, but usually everything, you sort them out. And at the end, we ended up having way better finances than before. We had sorted out we had extra 20,000 pounds on top because we had restructured, rebudgeted, reorganized the finances. Yeah, so these are themes on the more material level that Mars retrograde in the eighth house can be dealing with, or sometimes this eighth house is like alimony, so splitting what's mine, what's yours. Because, by the way, the whole time Jupiter is in your seventh house. That's very interesting. And sometimes Jupiter in the seventh house gives permission to dissolve a marriage. If a marriage or partnerships is no longer good, Jupiter will free you from it. Jupiter wants the highest good for you. So Jupiter, if you've been in stagnant relationship or anything, and it's not improving, Jupiter is truly the freedom, the planet of freedom to release you from such a situation. So they might, and Saturn retrograde here, Mars retrograde in your eighth house, can be dealing with what's mine, what's yours, how much is yours, how much is mine, those mutual finances as well. But Jupiter also in the seventh house, which is there till June, can bring a new person in your life. And because of that, it can lead to some important undertakings together with your mutual finances to organize them, to fix them. After all, Mars is a fixer-upper, even when it's retrograde. Fixer-upper with mutual finances to take them to the next level in some way, and so on. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit sick, so eighth house is also the house of intimacy. There might be the revising of your intimate life, or there might be Mars rules fifth house of romance in the eighth house of intimacy. There might be something important happening in intimacy there. For example, I met my husband actually when just before with Mars there, long time in the eighth house from the sun, and intimacy can go to another level there, basically. And they can be something very intense, very more passionate. And Mars in the eighth house allows for sudden healings because Mars is a fast planet, speeds up, breaks through trauma and hidden feelings and trauma that we have stored and that we're not aware that is festering, that is kind of poisoning us. And Mars really retrograde punctures those wounds, metaphorically speaking. It can be actually even literal. Sometimes Mars in the eighth house can be about cysts, about some kind of, like eruptions to release something. But yeah, there can be some crisis that activates the release of those suppressed feelings and exploring where they stem from. And this very fast transformation psychologically and emotionally that happens. Very, very fast. It's not like a slow, dragged out experience. It's quick, and even the eighth house is the ability to penetrate because it rules the chakras, all the apertures and opening of the body. For some of you can really activate spiritual, mystical experiences, so initiations of sorts, spiritual initiations, and kind of more paranormal experiences, or breaking through some kind of trauma and releasing it. And so that also can mean spontaneous healings. Ancient Vedic astrology says that when Mars is in the 8th house, and for you it will be there quite long, such things can happen very quickly. Yeah, but of course you have to be a bit more careful about accidents and such matters. 8th house is house of sudden changes. Mars is more aggressive planet. Just warning you there, I'm not saying all Sagittarius will have accidents and so on. Just something to be a bit more aware of. And big breakthroughs psychologically. If you're working on some psychological issue, on some psychological compulsions, obsessions, dependencies, you can expect good, powerful breakthroughs there, thanks to Mars's intense energy. Of course, there might be some fights about money, mutual finances, resources, or values. Your value with you and your partner, your value, my value. But as I said, it might also indicate intense intimacy, developments, and sexual interaction as well. So this is Mars in your 8th house. It starts going direct on the 23rd of February. So if there was any complications with finances, with money, with such battles, mine, yours, money, if there was some power struggle with someone, or some stressful situation, as I said, about taxes, insurances, inheritances, or psychological breakdown that has been, been emotionally intense for you, it all starts turning around and healing after February 23rd and improving and becoming more predictable and becoming more easy to control and direct according to your will. And of course, if you've been working hard to increase your mutual finances or on some taxes or insurance or whatever, then you can see the results of it. You can start seeing towards March, April, reaping the rewards of those efforts. In March, though, we have a very intense month. March, we're going to have Venus and Mars. Just when Mars turns direct, then Venus and Mars decide to turn retrograde. So we don't get a break the first few months. And Venus, so you already start feeling it from February because the pre-shadow period starts then. But Venus starts turning retrograde at 10 Aries on the 1st of March. And Mercury turns retrograde at 10 Aries, 9 Aries on the 15th of March. And then they'll stay retrograde till the end of March. So we see some big activation. They're trining you, especially the first 10 degrees of Sagittarius from 0 till 10. They can really benefit, even though Venus and Mercury will be retrograde. This retrograde period will benefit you because it's a trine aspect. And for some Sagittarius, this can mean coming back of some old love revisiting you. I had last year, Jupiter and Venus retrograde, not Jupiter, Venus and Mercury retrograde in my 5th house from the sun. And 2 exes contacted me. So sometimes an ex-partner can come back to you to get closure, to see it from a higher perspective, to forgive, to let go. Also, it's kind of some healing of if you've been hurt in love in some way. Or sometimes even old love comes back to restart it, to improve the relationship, to start something again. Or you might be going back to old things that you love to do with your romantic partner. Or someone that that you've known from before they reappear in your life, or just much better fun times with people from before in your life. 5th house is the house of having fun, entertainment, enjoying yourself. Maybe throw a party during this March to get in touch with people you haven't seen in a while. Of course, 5th house is your children. If you have such, there might be important decisions you're taking there, important changes happening in their life that you need to help them with, or some important clarifying conversations, discussions, and decisions that you're taking that are important for your mutual relationship. Also, this can mean that there are such important clarifications needed to happen with the romantic partner. Yes, there can be some crisis sometimes when planets turn retrograde about your romantic life, what you want, how you want to be loved. how you want to, if something wasn't said before, to be said when it comes to romantic matters. It's possible part of it. So March, or even from February, March, this can be a big theme for you. For others, fifth house, retrograde Venus, Mercury can mean that for a prolonged period, maybe February, March, and April, they might work on some creative project, with final touches, improvements, or something that they've forgotten before about or left behind, like a hobby or creative interaction or creative activity or something that they themselves, like a talent. You see, we have this theme of talent starting to pop up first from the end of February, March already, to revise what are your true talents, what are your true natural gifts, basically. And yes, Mercury and Venus retrograde there will trigger those topics for you, something that you're truly passionate about. If you've left behind, you can come back and restart it. You can revise how you have fun as well. Is it healthy ways? Is it unhealthy ways? Is it having fun that you waste your time, or is it having fun you hurt your health, or is it having, or are there life affirming ways of, creativity, leisure time, and plus fifth house is the house of the inner child, sparkling like an inner child, feeling connected, feeling in flow with the world, feeling inspired and excited. Venus and Mercury retrograde there can make you revise what does makes me feel inspired, come back to things that they do. And of course, you might be just some project whether it's creative or non-creative, but if it's your own business, you might be working on something about your own business to fix it, to change it. Maybe you might be redoing a website. You might be redoing the vision for your business. You might be redoing the the concept of a business or of a project or work, because this is very creative house. And anything that you create with your own intelligence, whether it's you're doing pottery or whether it's you're doing creative way of marketing or creative way of taxation, no, but kind of more original way, more, if it's your own idea in any way, and you're responsible for it like a baby, this is what you might be doing in February, March, doing it, revising it, and so on. But also jolly good old times with good old friends possible. But we have also an eclipse in this fifth house. Well, actually, the first eclipse is on the 14th of March, and it's in your 10th house on 23rd of Virgo, and it's exactly quite opposite Saturn, 23 degrees of Virgo eclipse, lunar eclipse. So this month can be really, really intense with two eclipses on angles. And we talked about what those eclipses can do at the beginning, but now you can feel it strongly, especially if you're Sagittarius and Moon rising around 20 to 25, 6 degrees, where the eclipse is strongest. There can be some big shift in your career, giving up of one aspect of your career, starting on or giving some big shift in your social status, married, unmarried, or married, or unmarried, married, social status, employed, unemployed, unemployed, employed, CEO of this business, now CEO of another business. Well, I told you how my story went with the South Node eclipse in my 10th house. Wake-up call it was, and it really shifted how I did my whole business, and for good as well. So that's one of the ways. Plus, the ancient texts say, when there is an eclipse in your 10th house, one will become like a king. Well, you might, because this can mean also you've been working hard in some area of your work career, because lunar eclipse gives you the results of previous actions. You can be rewarded now in March for that. You can be rewarded for taking it to a next level career-wise. And then there is the other eclipse, which is the solar eclipse, and it's in Aries, the last solar eclipse in Aries. So the sun and the moon again in this fifth house there. Oops. Again at 9 degrees, where Venus and Mercury have turned retrograde the first half of the month. Now the eclipse happens at 9 degrees, Aries, this degree is for some reason very important. So if you're around 9 degrees Sagittarius, this eclipse might be felt very strongly. This eclipse is with the North Node from the other side. And Venus and Mercury by that time have kind of moved into Pisces when the eclipse is happening. Maybe they haven't yet. Maybe they're on the verge. But so first, Mercury and Venus make us the whole month rethink our fifth house. We talked about it, whether romantically, with our children, creatively, rethink it, redo it, come back to the past, question it, re-examine it, introspect it, or put final touches. And then the North Node brings you, the North Node eclipse, solar eclipse in the fifth house, brings you a brand new beginning there. So there might be a brand new romantic beginning for some of you. For another, might be brand new developments around your children and their lives and relationships for the next 2-3 months, because the solar eclipse also means powerful new beginnings, not just on the day of the solar eclipse, which is the 29th of March, but for the next 3 months, 6 months even. Powerful new beginnings in some creative idea or business that comes up for you. You see, this fifth house is so strongly activated this year. So, and after that, remember that Saturn comes here and Neptune the following months. So this fifth house topic, so much action there, especially the early degrees of the fifth house or the early 10 degrees Sagittarius feel this. So like a new surge, new inspiration comes to your life, new rediscovering of your fifth house is one of the self houses of self-improvement, who you are, finding your mission, finding your purpose. It's a Dharma house, a house that gives you meaning, purpose, that makes you feel inspired, that aligns you to your Dharma, what your soul has come here to do. That's why it's a house that rules our natural talents, inspirations, visions. It's a very powerful and beautiful house. But of course, eclipse can also bring some kind of crisis romantically with other fifth house matters as well. But I think not so much for Sagittarius, because it's trining you there. But yeah, there might be some important developments with romantic, creative ideas and so on. Some downloads that make you feel aligned and inspired. And then the last day of March, we have Neptune moving into your fifth house. It's been in your fourth house for 14 years, guys. That's not the making you much more psychic and sensitive, because it was in an emotional house. It's an emotional planet. Maybe being more in touch with your deeper intuition, but sometimes your deeper intuition was maybe quite misleading, because Neptune was squaring you at some point, whether it's your sun or ascendant. Definitely in the last, since 2012, sometime, if you're the later degrees recently, if you're the middle degrees and maybe 6-7 years ago, some big confusion and clarity, and still Neptune in the fourth house might make you continue to have this confusion about the foundations in your life, not being like being in quicksand sometimes, dissolving, losing family members, dissolving, losing sometimes, because it is, after all, the planet of losses, Neptune. And God wants to show you that even if we lose love in some way, it can come to you. Love never dies. It will come to you in another way, through another person, through another, place or whatever. It's not easy lessons when Neptune squared you. And also Neptune in the fourth house might have created more water damage or issues with property or uncertainty with such matters, or where to live sometimes, or the past of your family, some secrets coming to the surface and so on. But the good news is Neptune will no longer be squaring you. It's going to start supporting you. So you're not going to feel deceptions and illusions from family members or from close people, or you self-sabotaging yourself with uncertainty. Neptune now will bring trine aspect from Aries. Such a mess here, so many planets. To Sagittarius in 2025, only the first 2 degrees will feel it, okay, till 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees of Sagittarius, very supporting influence of Neptune, inspirational, flowing. It can be very good for anyone, but just telling you that for the next 14 years, some Sagittarius can become very successful in Neptunian ways. They can discover Neptunian natural talents can be unlocked. Remember, fifth house, the house of natural talent. And they can be with music, with art, with something creative. And fifth house is what business to create. If you want to create something from start, it might be photography, art, something spiritual or healing others, helping others, or in some way psychologically consulting and advising others. But these are natural skills some of you will unlock Neptunian, whether it's you just start having more artistic hobbies that will really help you flow, that will really help you feel more connected to divine love, that make you feel more connected to intuition, so you're not misled, but that you can feel into the truth. And you can do it through very Neptunian means. And Neptune also rules nature in Aries, sports in nature. Some of you can develop over the next 14 years. Some spiritual fifth houses, maybe also what we do for sports and for fun, yoga or meditation. It can align. If you've been trying to meditate, whatever, it will be so much easier for you in the next 14 years with Jupiter in your fifth house. Romantically as well, Jupiter in the fifth house over the next 14 years can bring considerable changes, making a trine. Well, first, Saturn will require you to be more, because Saturn will be the next 3 years in your fifth house, requiring you to put some boundaries and rules when it comes to your romantic life. But after that, only Neptune will stay. So first, Saturn will prepare the ground for you, starting from the end of from the end of April 2025. And then again in 2026, 27. So those 25, 26, 27, those 3 years, and maybe a bit into 28, Saturn will ask you to first put boundaries, rules when it enters your fifth house. And to be very clear, not wishy-washy about what you romantically expect from another, to set some rules. It can even a bit slow down the romantic life because of duties and responsibilities. And there might be family duties and responsibilities, Saturn ruling your second house, or they might be connected to, because you're busy with some project working or financial matters that can put a bit of a damper on having fun, enjoying yourself, entertainment, creative outlets and hobbies, feeling kind of in flow. But because you're trying to be serious with Saturn there, especially trying to be serious about maybe some hobby or passion or talent that you have, to put it into something tangible, to create, maybe to turn it into a career, to turn it into a money stream, because Saturn rules your second house, going into the fifth house. Second house ruler going into the fifth house, it's a wealth yoga. So taking a creative, natural talent that you have, making money out of it. Saturn might ask you for the next 2-3 years to work hard on that. That can generate more financial abundance for you, but it might be a bit draining when it comes to your having fun time and doing things just for fun. You'd prefer for the next 3 years, if you're putting your time and effort, that it's constructive and that you're developing further, unfolding your natural talents towards fulfilling some what kingdom you want to create. Or maybe it might be taking care of children. It might be taking care of a baby that you want to raise. It might be a new business, a new project, restructuring something, taking care of your children more, having more responsibilities with children. My husband recently had Saturn through the fifth house. That's when the kids were 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 after that. Yeah, of course, we couldn't go on dates as much as we wanted. We had little kids. Of course, our fun was, we couldn't have on holidays and have as much fun and so on, because we had a lot of responsibilities. But yeah, Saturn there would first ask you to do the opposite and Saturn can ask you, when Saturn trans the fifth house, one can feel like, oh, I'm no longer like a party person, and like I'm maturing, my ways of having fun are maturing, they're becoming more serious or more, and sometimes they can be a bit of grieving. Oh, I'm not the old crazy party person. But Saturn there can also make you restructure how you have fun, and that you don't feel fun from things that are no longer age appropriate or energy appropriate for you. and can make you think hard how to do more wholesome such activities. And can even now you can start for the next 2-3 years some healthy, creative, or any kind of even exercise, or fifth houses, all of those things that you stick with you for many, many years, and can even turn them into something, to benefit from, as we said. Also, Saturn is the ruler of your third house, which is skills, in the fifth house of talents. This can be very productive time for you to develop and you with your skills, to learn new skills, to unfold this talent as well in some way. But of course, Saturn in the fifth house can have a draining influence a bit on the romantic, fun, love life, on your confidence sometimes. It can, make you doubt it, but only so it can remove the false pillars that you base your self-esteem and self-confidence on. So you can make it, so you can build it on something that is more real for you. So sometimes a person gets like a blow to their self-confidence. Sometimes even some kind of a crisis romantically can happen if you're single, of course. Or if you're not, to make them rethink, to make them think like, okay, I shouldn't let such people, or what kind of people I let into my life. So you can build some boundaries and demands. And if you're dating, you not want just casual dating, Sagittarius. Actually, Saturn in the fifth house over the next 3 years, only dating if there is mutual financial responsibility. Saturn rules the second. If there is serious things about family talking, or duty, or responsibilities with children in some way. But you're very likely with Jupiter in your seventh house to meet someone. And then in the eighth house as well, it's a house of soulmates over the next 1 year. And Saturn for 3 months in your fifth house of romance. But it's only for 3 months in your house in romance. And then in 2026, it comes back again into your fifth house. By that time, you should have taken some new responsibility with a partner, bigger one, whether it's a business one, whether it's some that you're saving money to do something together, but mutual responsibility together, because after that it might put some pressure on or just make it feel more like more like a drain, so to speak. More serious hobbies, but still Saturn will help you have your head on for serious matters, to be dedicated, to be committed, whatever you do over the next 2-3 years. So May, June, where does it go? May it goes. So June, July, and August, the first 3-4 degrees of Sagittarius, they'll be very helped by Saturn. Whatever they start, it will be long-term. It will develop a bit slower. They'll have to put efforts, but it will give them long-term positive effects, whether it's relationships they start, or businesses, or whatever. Long-term, stable results. It will be long-lasting. The later degrees of Sagittarius, they'll do this in the later 2026, 27, and so on. But Saturn will also make you put boundaries here and organize your creative processes. And if you're doing something creative and you feel like Saturn is stopping the creativity from you over the next 2-3 years, don't worry, because Saturn truly wants you to learn to work on the deadlines or pressure and still be creative. So it's good like to schedule every day. If you're writing a book, for example, every day I'll write 2 pages at this same time. So be organized about your creativity. Or if you're building a business, you have to, even if it feels more like job or work rather than creative hobby, pleasure, enjoyment, it's okay. You have to be responsible towards the process, the creative process, but you can be very much busy with Neptune. Will give you a lot of inspiration for creativity as well. It's not just going to be this dry out Saturn in your fifth house that makes you like, okay, every day, right? Or do this or do that. It's Neptune will give you a lot of inspiration, and Saturn will help you have the discipline to manifest it, to create the vision of your life, because this is the fifth house. What is the kingdom you want to live in? To be the king of your own world, what is it? If romantically people appear, some of them, there might be age difference, because Saturn in the fifth house, especially during the summer, if they appear when Saturn is there, Saturn is the planet of age difference. But of course, it's only you don't want just casual flings. You want something serious. You want something more committed, as we said, when Saturn is there. And there'll be plenty of opportunities because don't forget that till June, Jupiter is in your 7th house. That's like I've had Sagittarius friends get married when Jupiter transits their 7th house. I've had them meet the loves of their lives. I had them have incredible relationship development, so improvement there. So Saturn here in the 5th says like commit to in some deeper way by taking on some responsibility. Or if you're not in the right relationships, Jupiter will free you from it. Well, Saturn will keep you focused to build the boundaries of your heart so you can let in someone, not just haphazardly. And of course, Saturn and Neptune in July pretty much join together, and then in February 2026 in your 5th house, which means that there'll be the bursting of some illusion or bubble, especially if you've been misleading yourself romantically about someone or something, or what you want, for being ambivalent and uncertain about what you want from them or they with you. Saturn comes and puts order there and says, no, I want you to see reality. And there might be some important decision that you do romantically and with loved ones or with your children. Saturn, Neptune can burst the bubble there, but also start a new phase of your life with such people. But yeah, Neptune for the next 14 years, first Saturn will be felt much more strongly the next 3 years, like I spoke, and I told you what it requires, this more organization here to create something long lasting, to put your visions into reality, to put more rules for your children, to organize a stable foundational structure for them, or in your romantic life or whatever. And like that song reminds me, Saturn in the 5th house, like that song of I got no rules, I count them, Dua Lipa. That's very Saturn in the 5th house. And it's important to do it because after that only Neptune, and it sounds boring, but after when Saturn moves into your 6th house, only Neptune will be left for the next 11 years after that in your 5th house. And so you put you do the clean service there. And after that, you can have effortless flowing of your romantic life, of your relationships with your children, if you had put the hard work of manifesting into reality some creative idea of yours that inspires you to unfold this natural talent. And when, which is hard work, while Saturn is in the 5th house, but when it moves out, only Neptune stays there, and it just starts flowing, this creative project, this business. So now you have to be strict towards your children, romantic lovers as well, or at least have your rules and be very clear. No wishy-washy, maybe, maybe not. Set the rules. This is what I want. So there will not be any miscommunications, mistakes. And the next 2-3 years, like build that foundation there. When Saturn moves, you can just rely and go with the flow there. After that, romantically, there'll be a lot more ease and flow there. You'll be allowed romantically more spiritual people. The soul connection will feel very romantic. You might even be with like the most romantic soulmate in your life ever. Neptune through the 5th house, it's truly a soulmate can appear. And when Saturn joins Neptune, that can be one of the activation states, either 2025, 2026 for Sagittarius. I have my daughter and my best friends there. I hope so, a brand new stage. Saturn, Neptune, new cycle in your 5th house, romance, children, whatever, creative hobbies. But yeah, first you do the organization, don't slack there. Then after that, you can just allow it and flow with it. And romantically, you can have either foreigners or older people or more professional, responsible or artistic people or healing people. there might be a very strong spiritual connection, but it's not someone who is wishy-washy spiritual, let's butterflies kiss for, some guru type with Neptunian. No, this is someone who is spiritual yet practical person, who you have a soul connection with, but also take care of practical responsibilities. And it will burst through your bubbles romantically or connected to your heart that are But there is lies there. They would come to the surface. 2025, 2026. You can't stay in a self-misleading romantic relationship anymore. You just cannot, and something new comes. Of course, in April, that's in April, March the 30th, Neptune in Aries. Then in April, we have Mercury and Venus turning direct in Pisces. So you see, they've come back into the fourth house in April. So Mercury turns direct on the 7th of April at 26 Pisces. Venus turns direct on the 12th of April at 24 Pisces. So those, let's say from 23rd, 22 till 30 degrees in Pisces, they'll feel Venus, Mercury, so the last 10 degrees, let's say, on the last 6-7 degrees, will feel the Venus Mercury retrograde square them at some time in the end of March, the beginning of April. They might have some important decisions to take about people, their family, home, place of living, some clarifying conversations there. Also, they have to be careful about all the typical Mercury and Venus retrograde issues, because it's a square now for those degrees in March. It's a square, in April. The first 10 degrees was a trine from Mercury and Jupiter, but the last 6-7 degrees from 23, 22, 23 till 30, it's a square. So misplacing object, misspeaking, miscommunication, crisis or arguments with family or close people or in your environment. But also you might really rethink, redo, reorganize your home, make it more beautiful, because Venus can do that. Shift something around, make some important decision about your family, because these are, after all, benefic planets. When I had Mercury retrograde in my fourth house, I was building this thing, not I, but builders. So everything was a bit a mess at the house and took a bit longer, but still it turned out great. And they're here with the North Node and Saturn. So there might be some important decisions, clarifications about also romantic topics from the past coming back in April for you, Gemini, Sagittarius. Someone from the past, because Mercury rules your 7th house, retrograde with Saturn. I'm saying this March and April, very important time for relationships, to take a decision in your personal life and romantically. First, Venus and Mercury retrograde in the 5th house, then eclipse in the 5th house, then Neptune enters the 5th house, then Mercury and Venus move into your 4th house, which is your personal life, where you're going to live. And there was an eclipse in your 10th house. So something huge is happening that's directly affecting you. Personal life, career, whatever, in March and April. But after 7th and 12th of April, they start turning direct. So you've taken the decision or whatever complication or crisis there might have been, or delays with anything in your personal life, with relationships, for real estate, family, home, it starts moving ahead and getting easier and easier, especially the second part of April feels better. But then Saturn joins with the North Node on the 21st of April. Again, some important decision about home, family, personal life. If you're 21, 26 degrees Sagittarius, Saturn and the North Node square you can really feel it. I would say 25, 26, 27 degrees Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, rising. So I think it can feel a bit of a harder period. Some decisions have to be made, some delays, some tensions, but Saturn and the North Node are starting a new cycle and they're squaring you. So it might be especially connected to your personal life and places of living and so on, or some duty and responsibility. But it will bring something new that you'll gain from it. So even if it feels hard, you have to do, North Node helps you concentrate your efforts with Saturn to go through. And then in May, we have Saturn moving into Aries, your 5th house, towards the 24th of May. But we did speak what this means. So this is good, even though Saturn is not too happy in the fifth house, wants to have fun, to enjoy, to feel in love. Saturn there says, be serious, be careful, but I told you the steps when we talked about it and why it's good for you and why it's better that you have it now. Take care of those things initially, because after that, if it was the opposite, first Neptune allowing, removing all boundaries from you, you'd allow anyone to enter and do whatever you want with your heart, and your kids to do whatever they want, and your creative ideas to just will be daydreaming about them and not going after them, and your talents. But it's the opposite. Saturn comes here, does the hard work, prepares you, and then Neptune brings the inspiration. But you've already learned to do the work there. Okay. Then June, we have Jupiter moving into Cancer. But let's retreat back. It means that till June, for the first 5 months, you have all the time Jupiter in your seventh house. And Sagittarius, this can be a time, especially if you're Sagittarius rising, sometimes moon as well, sometimes sun as well. You can truly meet the one, the person. And remember, Saturn in the fifth says, like, you need to put some boundaries there. There might be some immediately that you take on responsibility together, financial responsibility together, that you take, that is not just casual, let's say. And there might be more than one opportunities, more than one person, but you choose, because of Saturn moving into your fifth house eventually this year, you choose the one that is most reliable, most committed, dedicated, and so on. But definitely good karma comes to you from others. And as well, as I said, if you've been in a stagnant relationship, you can be freed from it, and it will happen with ease. It will happen. There's some Mars here, retrograde, that we said the first 2-3 months, but still Jupiter protects that you don't sour the relationship in a bad way. Plus, you can receive a lot of good from others, or you can meet a new person that is very magnanimous and so on, take a relationship to the next level, or create new business partners, new people that are exciting, that are positive for you, sorry. And even if you're in a good old normal marriage, whatever, this can be that something good is happening and that the relationship is improving. In the relationship of your husband or wife, they're getting a promotion, they're feeling happier. If they had health problems, maybe their health problem is improving, or they're getting some new opportunity, renewal that makes you see them with new eyes and have more respect for them. So this heals the relationship. So if you've been having some issues in your relationships, Jupiter in the fifth, in the seventh house is healing them. And of course, sometimes it can give multiplicity, more than one. But I don't think Saturn will allow this for you to double play people for, because you're kind of getting a more serious state of mind regarding romantic relationship. Plus, for business, it's very good. Now, if you're not someone, forget relationships, I want to hear work, business, that's great, because you can, for example, if you are in real estate, Jupiter rules the fourth house, going into the seventh, you can sign contract, it can easier have more clients, but any kind, seventh house is your clients, you can really have a lot more clients than other times, expand your clients, your audience who follows you. Jupiter is great till June to do this. It allows you, especially if it's your ascendant in Sagittarius, you can grow your audience, you can grow your client list, you can grow your circle of connections, And then when Jupiter from June starts, so you can meet someone, fall in love, but also you can grow your business and so on. And start business partnerships, and other people help you somehow when Jupiter is in the seventh house. You meet people that are there for you, that shows you this benevolent side of Jupiter. And from June the 9th, Jupiter moves into Cancer. Mars is out already from there, and where Jupiter is extremely powerful. This is the favorite sign of Jupiter. So it means that it should give some of its best results in this eighth house of yours. So and your Jupiter, wherever you go, your focus is there. So the first part of the year may be building relationships, building new people, new contacts, expanding business, expanding social media or audience or public or clientele. And then the second part, Jupiter moving into the eighth house, this is clients, money, finances. Your finances start growing up. So, maybe that's when you see more gains or whatever. Or even support from a partner. For example, your partner's finances from the second part of 2025 and into the first part of 2026. Your partner's finances can grow a lot. He can have or if you've met a new partner, your mutual finances suddenly can make you much well-to-do financially. Remember, I met my life partner, my husband, when Jupiter was transiting my eighth house. So it's another house of not just the seventh house's relationship, but the eighth house is especially strong for intimacy, soulmate-like connection. And there might be some more private circumstances around meeting each other, but it's very deeply sexually healing when Jupiter is in the eighth house. Sexual healing. If you've had non-existent intimacy life, Jupiter transiting in the eighth house will really improve it. This is when your sex life starts improving. I told you, I felt like there was like I heard sexual healing. And I thought this is so sleazy, but I experienced it when your soul opens up without fear to another one. And the intimacy can heal you even physically, psychologically, emotionally. There was, I wish all this to you. At the same time, this healing that Jupiter in the eighth house can bring through opening up to not necessarily just sexually to another, but by opening yourself to the support that comes to you from outside, from the universe. So it might be that someone helps you or others help you a lot more, or someone's talents and resources you can use and you can benefit and you can monetize in some way. Or they can help you grow. There's a lot of external support for you in 2025 from others, and then from their resources, from their skills, from their talents as well. Second house is everything that we can receive from the universe, from others. And Jupiter tells you, if you open yourself, I'll give you so much more. And I remember, not only did I fall in love, get married, get pregnant with Jupiter in the eighth house, because it's the house of deaths and births and conceptions, get divorced, all of those big changes. Jupiter in the eighth house Jupiter says no boundaries. Eighth house says, so no boundaries for huge changes in life. Not easy. It's huge for you, but it's for good. Even this year from the second part, can spin your mind. It can spin your mind because you're Jupiter, you're in the eighth house. Jupiter loves being in Cancer, but it's a house of crisis and sudden changes. So a lot of sudden changes start happening in your life on an emotional level, on financial, on physical, whatever, on the intimate level as well. And these changes are so fast, and they're more than one, but it's like a rebirth. So this is your rebirth period for you, Sagittarius. And you'll feel very unblocked energetically. And Jupiter will start helping, because first Saturn was there in your eighth house. Sorry, not Saturn, Mars. Mars, where if there were some changes, they felt more disruptive, more stressful, and Jupiter comes to heal. And Jupiter heals pain from loss. Jupiter heals in the eighth house trauma. Jupiter makes you more healthy psychologically, more enduring psychologically, and willing to make changes, the eighth house of change, and to give yourself into the trust of the universe, into the hands, and to receive from it. And as I said, you can even benefit a lot by the finances of your partner, or meeting someone who is wealthy and helping you, or getting a loan with ease the second part of the year, or getting more money from, if you have clients, increasing. For me and my husband, when we got together, not only did I get pregnant, which is also eight houses pregnancies, that Jupiter allows to happen more easy, but and sometimes it's also the ability to release the past with more ease, but also it's with our mutual finances, because of our energy merges. Eight houses allow the merging of your energy with another, whether it's a business partner, whether it's a friend, whether it's a marriage partner, boyfriend, girlfriend. The vibration can really escalate. And with Jupiter in Cancer, it can be so positive. And the merging of resources, of energies together, suddenly I started making triple in the business. So it really Jupiter through the 8th house can raise, through the help or vibration of another person, your own vibration materially, financially, what you can receive, how much you think is possible. Also, people that in any 8th house careers, which are, I don't know, crisis, adult industries, gold digging industries. No, 8th house is astrology, the occult, psychology, healing others, helping others in crisis, surgery, banking. They can have a very taxes, insurances, inheritances, any kind of such business, or stock exchange, hedge funds. They can have, if you're doing any of those things, boom and growth and expansions and benefit, but somehow from other resources, you're uplifted and grow and see results. This is Jupiter in the 8th house for you guys. Wonderful. What else do we have? July, next big event. Uranus is moving from your 6th house. Maybe it could have created in the 6th house some sudden health issues in the last 7-8 months, or kind of a lot of awareness and knowledge about health, how to eat, diet, such things. Also ups and downs in the job area with employees and so on, but also with health habits, maybe up and down, sticking up to a health routine, but also a lot of awareness. Maybe it revolutionized to make you freelancing. Maybe you change more jobs in some way, but also make you revolutionize to give you more freedom rather than 9 to 5, to give you the ability to be flexible more, or to digitize and to upgrade your skills and business with more new technologies, with more innovations. And now Uranus is moving out of the 6th house, and it's going to be the main major planet that is influencing you. Yes, Saturn and Neptune trining for the next 14 years, Saturn for the next 3 years, which is very stabilizing and good for you, plus healing. But Uranus is the main major, very serious aspect, which is exciting, which is very new in energy. So you're starting a brand new phase and chapter in your life, in relationships. And a lot of the old people in your life will just move off, and a brand new energies people will come that are very different than the people you've usually had in your life. You might notice that you are, I'm not saying immediately it happens. For the early born Sagittarius, they'll feel it the most. The first 2-3 degrees will feel it in 2025. But even the later degrees in Sagittarius, they can start feeling a big shift of energy, that things start moving very fast and changing very fast in their life, which will be the norm over the next 7 years. And it will be because of external influence, or because of some external activation. It will be because someone inspires you externally or pushes you, or because there is a big shift in your personal relationship. But you'll awaken to a brand new reality. And new people will introduce it in your life. But just the first couple of degrees of Sagittarius, we'll feel it now, July, August, September, October, till November, when Uranus dips back into their 6th house. And what is an Uranus opposition? Well, if it's your ascendant, you can suddenly meet someone that shocks you, is very different, suddenly divorce, suddenly get married. That's such a big thing, Like my husband, he met me exactly Uranus opposition, his ascendant. Suddenly got married in 2 months, and another person changes your life, and the people you might meet might be Uranian. They can be unusual, they can be independent, they can be astrologers, they can be in tech, and they can be esoterics, they can be very unusual, independent in some different way, and they can be a bit disruptive as well. They don't follow the rules, they run their life on their own, through their own drum. They beat their own drum, or whatever it's called, on the rhythm of their own drum. And such people will teach you to be more free, and you jive well with freedom. You have freedom-loving sign. And for some Sagittarius, who in a restrictive relationships, they can't. The next 7-8 years, Uranus is in your 7th house. If you're in a relationship that is limiting, it's not going to stay, it's not going to survive. Something brand new energy is coming there. Unless your partner goes through a brand new cycle in their face, then, and you start experimenting and trying new stuff together, Sagittarius, it will be great. But maybe your partner, sometimes it can be that the partner needs to work away for a year or two, so you see each other less often, on and off energy of relationship. I had my sister-in-law had this Uranus opposition, her 7th house, for the last 2-3 years, and her partner had to be gone 5 days of the week, come back on the weekends. They would separate, come back, separate, and they would go and live in. They'll travel a lot, so you kind of like, you have to introduce something new into your relationships with Uranus in the 7th house if you want to keep the status quo of the relationship, or your partner has to change in some big way. Otherwise, someone new would appear because you're ready for new energy and you resonate much more to the new energy. So either your partner and you do something differently. And I had a friend who he never wanted to marry. He was like so certain. He saw his parents divorce and he's been with his girlfriend for 10 years. And I said, Uranus is entering your 7th house. If you don't get married, the relationship will fall apart. You need to do something differently now with Uranus. And others would say, oh, don't get married with Uranus in the 7th house. Of course not. Just your status will change from married to unmarried, from single to not single, whatever. And it can change often throughout this period. But it's, and he got married and it saved the relationship. 10 years later, they're still together. But he shifted how he felt totally about marriage and relationships. From I'm never getting married, and they've been together 10 years, and to getting married, So sudden shift there, change. And it can be the opposite. Oh, I'm always in a relationship, and Uranus goes in your 7th house. Now you want freedom, you want different or new people. You're like, Plus, it can mean that new partners, business partners can start appearing. You can open up yourself to energy, external energy that shakes you up, that excites you, but also creates. But because Uranus receives a lot of good aspects in the next 5 years, from Saturn, Neptune all the time, from Pluto, I don't think this will, whatever appears, if it's a new relationships, new circumstances in your life, new career, if it's your sun in Sagittarius, Uranus opposing, it can be totally new career. If it's your moon in Sagittarius, totally new personal life, place of living, relationships with others can shift. Romantically as well, with the ascendant as well, personal business relationship. Your appearance as well can change. Your taste, everything, but Pluto helps. Saturn and Neptune help. So the next 5 years, at least till 2030, all changes coming to you from others are really good. They need it to help you fulfill this vision for your life, this creative talent and this creative mission that you have in some way to create something. And Uranus, despite of its sometimes disruptive energy, you love it. You'd love it. Uranus is much nicer in Gemini than in Taurus. And you'd like it, Uranus wants to free you and liberate you, especially if you're inauthentic in relationships or in some careers or in some direction of your life. When it opposes you, it reveals it, like you can't stand the untruthful anymore. You can't stand the lie, and you don't care if you're going to hurt the feeling of another or what the other thinks. And you're like, I have to change it. I have to get it out of my life, or I need to fix it or change it or shift it. But Uranus always brings such new energy and inspiration. Actually, I remember Uranus transits, I'm like high on some speed or something. And it's a year where bam, 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 things are happening all the time. Uranus opposing my moon, fell in love 3 times this year, change places of living 6 times. Uranus, haven't had it opposing my sun yet, but Uranus over my sun, change everything. It's so, yeah, just exciting. Plus Jupiter, you in the second part of the year is in the 8th house of big transformation. So it will be much easier for you to shift, to change, not to feel stuck. So this summer you'd feel like, whoa, 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 whoa. this change energy. In July, I told you that the Saturn Neptune conjunction happens then. We talked a lot about it. It's connected to this fifth house, you know, when Uranus trines it. So that's when the energy really kicks in. And Mercury goes retrograde in July, from the 18th of July to the 11th of August. And that's happening in your ninth house. Perfect. Making a trine to you, Sagittarius. Those degrees that are affected are from 4 to 15, Sagittarius. So Jupiter can help you with its trine to renew, revisit some information, maybe to reorganize some documents, papers, some mental intellectual work. It's good for business, but it's usually you fix something, you improve something, you reconnect with people from the past, also to re-examine some of your stands on your belief system, to go back to studies or teachings of some sort from before. Yeah, I don't think it's very helping. And it's in a self house. The ninth house is considered the self house. So it's about self-improvement. It's also the ninth house is traveling. Some of you might travel back to places from the second part of July and the first part of August that they've been to before, foreign, or see foreign friends they haven't seen, or out of state friends. But if you're going to travel to a brand new place, advise you not to do it with the retrograde Mercury. It's better to going back to places rather than brand new places, because things tend not to go exactly how you expect always, but it might still be very good. It's good time to revise some documents for foreign residents or correspondence with people that, you know, some hearing back from someone, catching up on correspondence as well, catching up, or taking some exams you haven't taken before, or coming back to some knowledge, revising it, delving back into a favorite teacher of yours, or thinking, do I want to follow this person? Ninth house is the people you follow, is the people that you aspire towards, that you learn from, is that those that people want to follow. It's also father figure, mentors. You might have some situation there with such. You can also be revising your belief system and the plans for your future. Ninth house rules like, okay, I have these plans for the future. This is how I see myself in a year, or that I want to do. And Mercury there makes you revise it, rethinking, making changes in the plans in some way. Then in August the 11th, Mercury starts turning direct, so things, start improving, or not even improving, but moving ahead, as they know, and being more predictable. And you can see the results if you've done some extra Mercury efforts in communication, in business, in transactions, in any mental, intellectual work that requires your skills. You're going to start seeing the results now and the rewards. This is August, pretty peaceful. Mercury turns direct. September, we have all planets starting to move back. So it's going to be like pull back. September, October, November, it's into a bit older energy. First, Saturn moves back into Pisces on the 1st of September. Only the last 5 degrees of Pisces will feel it, from 25, okay, maybe 24, till 20, till 30. They'll have Saturn, they'll be tested for the last time by Saturn till the end of the year. Maybe some delay, maybe something to do with family, with home, with emotions, real estate, not the other Sagittarius. They'll not feel that. The heavier energies and impulses of Saturn, which can sometimes make us feel lower emotionally, or more practical, less inspired, more grounded, and deal with those fourth house matters for Sagittarius for the last time, with real estate, and we talked about that. Then there is an eclipse in your fourth house, so definitely around September, this is a big theme here. It's a lunar eclipse on the 7th of September, the first week of September, at 15. So this is lunar eclipse. But it's trine Jupiter this time. And it's with the North Node. 15 degrees. So if you're around 15 degrees Sagittarius, September, 3 before, 3 after, 18 12 to 18, that can be an important period where something happens in regards to your place of living home. And this can be like taking it to the next level, completing it, anything to do with parenthood, anything to do with your parents, some very important fated events or place of living or personal life, family, home choice. You know, a lot of focus here. Interesting. Again, we come back to this fourth house activation on the axis of on the axis of where you live, family, parenthood, your childhood, the past, you parenting. So something important happening either with your mom, dad as well. And then the other eclipse in October is a solar eclipse, a 29-degree Virgo. The moon is there, it's with the south node. Powerful restart, new beginnings. Again, we see, for especially the later degrees of Sagittarius, the last 3 degrees from 27 to 30, because this eclipse is at the 29th degree. There can be a big shift in career, Sagittarius. New beginning. Something that changes your status in a powerful way. New direction. Some important change with the father figure, authority figure, your own authority or business. As we said, eclipse, and this is a new moon eclipse in the 10th house, can maybe shift you at this level of career, but there might be the need to let go of something so you can go to the next level. Sorry about that. I'm a bit sick. So yeah, this September is quite happening again. A lot of action in your 4th and 10th house. So changes. These are your support axis. What is your mission here? What are you here to do? What you're standing on? Then in October, we have, and then this final eclipse on the 21st of September, it's a bit tough because it's opposite Saturn and Neptune. So there might be some hard decision connected to, this 10th house career or so on. Then October, we have Neptune coming back to Pisces. So only in the last 1 degree, so the 29th degree, Sagittarius will feel this Neptunian confusion, maybe this Neptunian inability to get mobilized or to feel misled or to feel a bit uncertain, but also dreamy, and dissolution of important structures in life. Thankfully, Saturn is also there to immediately when they start not seeing reality, Saturn brings them back to reality. And then in November, Uranus goes back. It's just visited the first 2 degrees, so opposite the first 2 degrees in Sagittarius. That's where it started really changing their life. But it comes back into your 6th house. So we're retreating back to the second part. September, October, November, we're going back to old topics, more into our comfort zone, because some of the earlier spring and summer period for the Northern Hemisphere was a lot of new energy, a lot. So we need to pull back a little bit when it starts after the summer to be like, whoa, what the hell happened? Let's retreat back. Let's, to more familiar ground, finish up stuff we haven't finished. For you here might be for career, for work, for practical matters, Neptune and Saturn for home, family. And of course, in November, we have Mercury going retrograde for the last time, this time in your sign. But only the first 7 degrees will feel the retrograde strongly, because this is an important Mercury for you, but just the early Sagittarians. Okay, let's say the first 10 degrees. Let's give a bit of an orb. Mercury goes retrograde on November at 6 degrees Sagittarius. And goes, so these first 6, 7, 8, 10 degrees, some important news comes to them, some important dealings with business, with work, with mental activities, some rethinking, everything Mercury retrograde that like you have to be careful with the appliances, devices, passwords, correspondence. So come back to old and finish work, finish it. I always, when I've had Mercury retrograde in my sign, Always been very productive business time. I revise an old project. I do some articles about old courses I've had. I bring up something old and improve it or make some corrections or decide to change something, how I communicate myself and my message to others and so on, or get in touch with, you can get in touch with people you haven't seen in a while, old partners, Mercury rules your seventh house, old friends, and so on. You might revise or you might be doing some work because Mercury rules the 10th house, some work, because 10th house of work, Mercury makes you here finish up some stuff maybe, usually it's intellectual skill work that is connected to business, to transactions, to communications, to using your mind, to administration, to management, organization, you might be called to redo something there or get in touch with people from the past. And then Mercury mostly stays retrograde in your 12th house. So maybe revisiting a foreign country or maybe becoming a bit more introspective, withdrawn, thinking about what needs to be removed from your life, maybe having more private communications and information, and be careful not to get lost or not to lose things with Mercury retrograde in the second part of November. And on the 29th of November, it turns direct again. And that's it. Then December, we're pretty much easy sailing, but you saw how many changes there were throughout the rest of the year. How many planets change signs? Saturn for the nodes, then Neptune, then Saturn, then Uranus. It's crazy, but remember, I'm telling you that all the time they're holding a beautiful configuration. And by the way, towards November and December, Jupiter and Saturn are making a beautiful trine in November and December, and Mercury even. Despite of Mercury being retrograde, it's holding a trine with Jupiter, and the beginning of December is fantastic. Jupiter trine Saturn, Neptune trine Saturn and Jupiter. Grand trine in your emotional houses, but you can build something positive, constructive there in your personal life with your mutual finances. So, for example, if you want to start something, investment in mutual finances or whatever, the end of November, the beginning of December. December is great. Anything to do with real estate is great then, or with family as well because of the trine. If you want to move or change something at your home, again, December, to connect with family, to heal all woundings, this December can be great with this grand trine. All woundings from old pain and healing, psychological healing. All right, Sagittarius, you see, but in 2026, you're going to feel really powerful. Saturn, Neptune in your second house, trine Uranus, sextile Uranus, sextile Pluto. They'll be holding this beautiful aspect or whatever new fifth house self-expression you have. It will be unfolding over the coming years with a lot of support from others and your environment. So good luck.